You've heard the hype. You've seen the glossy commercials showing sleek electric cars gliding down empty city streets driven by models with perfect smiles and an eco-friendly halo glowing above them. Politicians say they're the future. Automakers are pouring billions into them. But here's the cold, hard truth. Americans aren't buying them. Not in the numbers the industry promised, not even close. And the gap between the EV dream and the EV reality, it's widening every single day. This isn't just a passing blip in sales. What you're about to hear is a story of overpromises, real-world frustrations, financial landmines, and cold economics that have turned what was supposed to be a revolution into one of the biggest consumer pushbacks in modern history. And here's the thing, it's not just anti-tech people or some fringe group resisting. It's middle-class families, it's road trip warriors, it's business owners. Even early EV adopters themselves are quietly switching back to gas. In no particular order, let's break down exactly why Americans are refusing to buy EVs. And along the way, you'll hear real-world stories from people who lived the EV promise and found the reality much harsher. Stay tuned, because the final story in this video, it's the crown jewel, the one that sums up why this resistance is more than just stubbornness. It's survival. Here's the first brutal truth. EVs are expensive. Yes, you've heard about tax credits and manufacturer incentives, but let's talk reality. The average EV transaction price in America hovers around $55,000 to $60,000. That's before interest, before insurance hikes, before the hidden costs no one in those greenwashed commercials wants to tell you about. Now, you might say, but prices are dropping. Sure, slightly, but only because manufacturers are slashing margins to move inventory that's been sitting on dealer lots for months. And while you can buy a decent used gas car for under $15,000, most used EVs are barely under $30,000. And even then, the battery may be halfway through its life. One of many stories in our tale here is Mike Reynolds, a 42-year-old construction supervisor from Kansas. Mike traded in his 2017 F-150 for a brand new EV truck after hearing about the savings and tax credit. The payment, $1,100 a month. The insurance, 40% higher than his gas truck. Within 18 months, Mike's dream truck was gone. Repossession. Why? A combination of inflation, higher interest rates, and an unexpected $8,000 battery cooling system repair not covered by warranty. If you think that's the worst financial hit in this story, stick around. We've only just opened the hood. You've seen the maps with charging dots everywhere. Looks great until you try to use them. The reality? Many public chargers are broken, out of service, or so slow they might as well be a wall outlet. And when you do find a working fast charger, you may wait in line, sometimes for hours, especially on holiday weekends. Sarah and Luis, a couple from Texas, decided to drive their EV from Austin to Denver for a family reunion. Google Maps said it would take 14 hours. It took 23. Why? Out-of-order stations, chargers throttled to half speed, and, the kicker, a 2-hour wait in Amarillo where 4 EVs ahead of them all needed 45-minute top-ups. By the time they arrived in Denver, they were stressed, late, and swearing never to do a long road trip in an EV again. And here's the part no one talks about. Seasonal weather kills charging speed. In the winter, charging times can double, range can drop by 30% or more, and heaters drain batteries faster than you think. Have you personally had a charging nightmare? Drop your story in the comments. I guarantee you're not alone. On paper, 300 miles of range sounds great, but that's under ideal conditions. Mild weather, flat roads, light load, no heater or AC blasting, and definitely not towing anything. In the real world, that 300 quickly becomes 200 or less. For rural Americans, this is a deal breaker. Imagine living in Wyoming, Montana, or rural Texas. Your local Walmart is 45 miles away. Your commute, over 60 miles a day. Add a snowstorm and suddenly you're praying the battery doesn't die before you get home. Tom and Nancy, retirees in northern Michigan, loved their EV for in-town errands. But one January night, with the temperature at minus 14 degrees Fahrenheit, their battery range plummeted by 40% on the drive to visit their grandkids. They had to stop at an unfamiliar charger in a snowstorm and wait 50 minutes in a wind chill that felt like minus 25 degrees Fahrenheit. Nancy described it as, "The moment we knew this wasn't for us." They traded the EV for a hybrid within 2 months. If that sounds bad, wait until you hear what EV towing can do to your range. EV trucks are marketed as torque monsters, and they are. But torque isn't the problem. Energy consumption is. Tow a 5,000-pound trailer with an EV truck rated for 300 miles, and you might get 100 miles of real range before needing a charge. That means on a cross-country tow, you could be stopping every hour and a half to find a charger, and good luck finding a pull-through fast-charging station that can fit your trailer. One viral case was Dan Simmons, a small business owner in Nevada, who bought an electric pickup to tow his landscaping trailer. Within the first week, he realized his 250-mile rated range dropped to 85 miles when loaded. That meant he couldn't even complete a day's work without charging. He sold the truck at a $17,000 loss after just 3 months. And here's the part they'll never tell you in the brochure. Electric vehicles are depreciating faster than almost any segment of the market. Why? Rapid tech changes make last year's model look obsolete. And the battery, the single most expensive component, has a finite life that scares off used buyers. Some EVs are losing 50% of their value in 3 years. Compare that to a Toyota Tacoma or Ford F-150, which can retain 70% or more. Kendra Williams, a nurse in Ohio, bought her EV new for $53,000 in 2021. In 2024, she tried to trade it in. The dealer offered her $19,500. She still owed $28,000. Kendra now drives a used Corolla and says she's never been more relieved. Sure, EVs have fewer moving parts than gas cars, but when something big fails, it's not just expensive. It can be financially devastating. Battery replacements can run $12,000 to $25,000. Even smaller components, like onboard chargers or battery cooling systems, can cost thousands. And because most independent mechanics can't work on them, you're often stuck at the dealership paying premium labor rates. One horror story is Brian and Janelle, rideshare drivers in Florida, who relied on their EV for income. At 92,000 miles, their battery management system failed. The dealer quoted $14,600, more than the car's resale value. They walked away from the car, defaulted on the loan, and had to start over with a used gas sedan. But even if you could afford the repairs, there's another problem lurking. Need a replacement battery module? Good luck. Wait times can stretch to 3 to 6 months because many parts are on global backorder. In the meantime, your EV is a very expensive driveway ornament. Just ask Andre Lopez from New Mexico. His EV sat at a dealership for 104 days, waiting for a battery cooling component. Rental car coverage ran out after 30 days. He ended up borrowing his brother's old Chevy S10 just to get to work. Cold weather isn't just a nuisance for EVs, it's a performance killer. Studies show EV range drops an average of 30 to 40% in freezing temperatures. Charging times increase, regenerative braking weakens, and heaters drain batteries fast. And wait until you hear how this turns into a dangerous situation in the next story. Sherry and Mark, parents in Minnesota, got caught in a snowstorm. Their EV range dropped so quickly that they turned off the heater to conserve power, wrapping their kids in blankets in the back seat. They made it to a charger with 3% battery left. Sherry says that was the moment she realized this isn't just inconvenient, it's dangerous. When states start setting hard deadlines to ban new gas car sales, it doesn't sit well with buyers. Americans don't like being told what they must drive, especially when the alternative still has major shortcomings. Surveys show that nearly 60% of Americans oppose EV-only mandates, and resistance is highest among rural and middle-income households, the exact buyers automakers depend on for truck and SUV sales. Perhaps the most telling sign? Many early EV buyers, the ones who love the technology, are quietly switching back to hybrids or gas. Dave Miller, a tech consultant from California. He bought one of the first Tesla Model S sedans and racked up 180,000 miles. But after multiple charging frustrations, skyrocketing insurance, and a $21,000 battery quote, Dave traded for a Toyota hybrid. His reason? I loved the tech, but the tech didn't love me back. This one isn't about numbers. It's about reality colliding with promises. Jason, a long-haul trucker from Missouri, decided to go green at home and bought a new electric pickup for $78,000. $300,000. He believed it could replace his gas truck for towing his family's camper, doing weekend projects, and daily driving. The first trip towing the camper was a disaster. His 300-mile range became 90 miles in headwinds. He stopped 7 times on a single day just to charge. His family spent hours at gas stations, turned charging stops, eating vending machine snacks instead of camping. 3 months later, Jason traded the EV back in. The loss? $27,000. His verdict? It's not that I hate EVs. I hate being told something works when it clearly doesn't, at least not for how Americans actually live. So here we are, billions spent, mandates coming. And yet, the very people automakers need most, they're walking away. Maybe you've tried an EV and loved it. Maybe you've tried one and swore it off. Or maybe, like millions of Americans, you're just waiting for the day the hype matches the reality. Either way, I want to hear from you. Have you owned an EV? Would you ever buy one? Or are you sticking with gas until they pry the keys from your hand? Drop your thoughts below. I read them all. If you found this breakdown eye-opening, make sure you're subscribed. The next deep dive is on the way, and it's one you won't want to miss. So keep your eyes peeled and your ears open. Stay tuned.